Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Stephanie Rivers. I had not. I'm here to talk about my experience with the Hollywood director Antoine Fuqua. I wasn't really gonna say anything about my experience with him, but when I see everyone keep talking about him and Nicole Murphy and the issues and Layla Rashawn and all of that, I just wanted to, I guess, throw my 2 cents in there because I know him personally. We've talked a couple of times on the phone, and I met him because I'm a flight attendant, and I was doing a trip out of Pittsburgh one day a couple of years ago, and so he was on my flight, and it was such that he's a black man. He's in first class, and his last name is Fuqua. So I did, and so that's not to say that you don't find black people in first class, because you do. But out of Pittsburgh, and your last name is Fuqua, so I did a Google search and realized, okay, this is the director, Fuqua, and so at that instance, I guess I should say, if you don't know, I'm a journalist by profession. So I used to be a TV reporter, newspaper reporter, and I still do producing of shows, and I still write occasionally. And so when I had the opportunity to try to interview a celebrity, then that's what I do. But before I approach you about that, if it's in the setting of I meet you in the airport and my primary position at that point is a flight attendant, then, I don't jump into it right away. So again, he was on my flight, and it was just before his movie was to come out, where he was doing the remake of the Western with Denzel Washington. So can't remember it wasn't the Dirty Dozen, wasn't the Fast. It was, I can't remember it. And maybe I can try to look it up while I'm talking, but probably not. But at any rate, he was doing a remake of a movie. It was about to come out in the next few months. And a lot of people know that American Way magazine on one of the magazines that's on the airplane is one of the most read by millions of people, because the airline has tens of thousands of people a day who take flights. And so some of them read the American Way magazine. And so my way of appealing to him as a journalist at that time was, I said, hey, I'm a journalist. I write. If I could get you an article for some publicity for your upcoming movie in American Way magazine, would you be interested in that? And he said, sure. So he gave me his number. And so in addition to that, though, he was like, well, I would let you talk to my publicist, but just call me directly. So, during the interaction of a flight between Pittsburgh and Dallas, DFW, it might be an hour and a half flight, not a long flight. But he kept looking at me, kept smiling at me, got up and talked to me while I was, in the galley area. And so it led me to believe that, okay, he might be interested in more than just me writing an article about him. So immediately after I got off of the flight, then I think he texted me. So we exchanged numbers. He gave me his number. I gave him my number. And I think he immediately texted me and said, it was nice to meet you. You should come do the article. You should come do the interview in Los Angeles, where I am. And so it was kind of like, he was kind of like jumping on it like real fast. And I'm like, okay, slow down, Tuffy. We just met an hour ago. So at any rate, then that led me to do a search of, is he married? Antoine Fuqua, married. Antoine Fuqua, children. So I start Googling stuff because I'm trying to find out what's up. So immediately it tells me he is married to Layla Rashawn, and they've got 2 kids, and they've been married for a very long time, like 15, 20 years. Because again, this was like 2 or 3 years ago that I met him. And so, and then in addition to that information, it started, other links started talking about how he's been known to sleep around and he's been known to do this, that, and the other. So I'm like, okay, he's out there. He's looking for somebody else to be out there with. So immediately I just kept it professional. And so when I did contact him later, I talked just specifically about doing the interview. And instead of me coming out to LA, I wanted to talk to his publicist. So he was like, you know what, that's a good idea because I do pay my publicist to do whatever. So since I'm paying them so much money, I'm gonna let you talk to them. And I did end up talking to his publicist, and they were like, if you can get him an American Way story, then we're ready, we can talk. But if it's gonna be anything smaller, because I also have relationships with other media outlets that are smaller, more like, well, I don't want to say the names, but anyway, but his publicist was only interested in if it was something big like American Way. If it was something smaller and more community oriented, they were like, nah, we ain't interested in that. So I never did get a chance to do the interview, but I did talk with him once or twice more. And he was like, well, you can still come see me in Los Angeles. And so I fell back on that because, again, if he's married, I mean, I didn't know whether he was divorced. I mean, whether he was separated or left Layla at the house yesterday or whatever. I don't know. But all I know is it says you're married. And although I did not ask him specifically, I just kind of fell back because that's just how I handle those types of things. But so that leads me to, when I look at the news between him and Nicole Murphy, and how she says, I didn't know that they were not together. That don't even sound right. I mean, you like 50 years old, you've been married yourself to somebody who, probably was in a position to say, oh, me and Nicole ain't together. That's just not something that you take at face value with someone of his caliber, of a Hollywood director caliber, telling you, oh, me and my wife ain't together. And then to come to find out y'all might be family friends. Come on now. You know whether somebody is together or not. And it's just, women have to, we as women, we have to take the moral high ground on things, because a man, most of the time, a man is going to do what you allow him to do. He's going to go as far as you allow him to go. And so it's really up to us to say, you know what, I'm not doing that because you're married. And even if they are separated, if you ain't, if you don't want to be with her, then go on and divorce her. But don't come telling me, oh, we just separated, because then you get caught up in, like y'all caught up now, where even if they're not together physically or emotionally, they're still married in the eyes of God and the courts and of the public. And so then you find yourself having to what's the word? Sometimes I lose my words. Then you find yourself having to defend yourself over something where if you just would have said, you know what, because she's my friend, or because she's a woman and y'all are still officially married and y'all have kids together, and because I respect myself, I'm not going to do this. And so that is why it would have been the best idea for them not to, for Nicole to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this for a number of reasons. So at any rate, I just wanted to put it out there that Antoine Fuqua has, according to the internet and according to what I could tell, has a reputation of being promiscuous, or at least opening up the door to see who will walk through it. Let me say that. And so that was my experience with him. But I still have his number in my phone because I'm in the business of producing and writing. And I've often said to myself, why don't you call Antoine and see if he is open to directing this movie, because I've invested in some movies and we're trying to piece together the players. And so I have thought that many times, because just because he might be a hoe doesn't mean he can't direct the movie. You know what I'm saying? You kind of like got to separate business and non-business issues. And so I'm just realizing that there's like this big old bed in the background. I'm on an overnight as we speak, so that's why. Otherwise, I would not be in the bedroom. I would be somewhere else doing this live. So, at any rate, that's that. My experience with Antoine, and as far as the shaming, the fat shaming, and all the things that Layla is having to deal with, it's hard. A woman has to do so many things. We have to be the mama, be the wife, look pretty, cook, clean up, work. We got to do this. We got to keep everything in order. And they want you to look a certain way. Meanwhile, men can go out here and do whatever and with whoever. And we don't halfway talk about how they look versus how the woman looks. But based on what I've experienced, a lot of times how a woman looks and how she carries herself is a lot. It has a lot to do with how the interaction is with the man in her life or the significant other in her life. He probably wearing her to death with all the stuff that she got to put up with to be with him. And then why she's still there, we don't know. Would I still be there based off of what I have read and what I have seen and what I have experienced? Probably not, but you just don't know what situation, what people are doing behind closed doors and why they putting up with what they putting up with. So at any rate, feel free to comment. And that is my experience with Antoine Fuqua. Thanks for listening. And to find out more about the written version of my journal, you can go to eurweb.com. Thanks and have a super Saturday, super day.